Hytale has multiple unique workstations, each with a specialised use, and you're probably quite familiar with all of them by now as the game's been on early access for a few weeks by now. For most workbenches, it shows you everything you can craft as soon as you open it, and what materials are required to do so, which is great, very helpful. But others are a mysterious box with no shown inputs or outputs. One of these is the Salvages table, and it's by far the least intuitive. But behind the lack of UI hides a very powerful and useful, near essential workstation that you're probably not even using. So stick around while we uncover the secret recipes and the very best ways to use this overpowered station. So we will start with a simple one that solves one of Hytale's most annoying mid-game problems. Bows and crossbows are great and very powerful, but they are useless without arrows. Now arrows are very easy to craft, just requiring 4 sticks and a pebble. But there's a problem. As you use more and more arrows, you'll start to see that your immediate surroundings are running out of these pebbles, meaning that just making arrows becomes a short adventure just looking for nice stones to pick up. But what if I told you there's a renewable way to get this rubble? That's right, you don't need to spend your valuable time looking for piles of small rocks on the floor anymore. All you need to do is to put some cobblestone into the Salvager's workbench. And voila! It'll start making you pebbles that you can now use for your arrows, or as a decoration if you want. You can also use these to craft all the different gravel variations renewably at the farmer's table. All you need is a cobblestone generator to AFK at to get you the stone renewably. Now here is where you're going wrong. If you've been doing that already, then good for you. You've been getting renewable pebbles, but only half as efficiently as you could have been. Now this is huge. If we go to the builder's bench and turn our stone into some other stone variants, we see that we can put these into the bench too. Look at these cobble roofs go in and also give rubble back. But notice, so do the walls and slabs. But yet we get 2 of these per cobble block, and each one gives rubble. So if you first turn your cobble into slabs, you'll get twice as much rubble for your stone. Thank me later, or now by hitting like and subscribe. Now that was a pretty well known use for the Salvager's bench, so let's move on to some of the other interesting hidden recipes. Before we do, I have a quick question. There's another Hytale mechanic that gives you rubble as a renewable drop. I'll be making a video on it soon I reckon as well. But before I do you want to have a guess in the comments section below? Now, I've jumped ahead and started saying all the great uses for the Salvager's workbench. But when you open the crafting bench, you'll see that it's locked, you can't even craft it. To get the Salvager's workbench you'll need a level 2 crafting bench, which requires 30 copper, 20 iron and 20 linen scraps. Not too challenging, but you may want to use your first bits of iron on some tools and armour, or like me, on watering cans. What can I say, I enjoyed the whimsy of farming. Then, once you have the level 2 station, you can craft the Salvager's workbench using another 6 iron, some wood and stone. So at least 26 iron in total, but I'd say it's definitely worth it, even if it's just for getting the rubble renewably. But let's go and discover some other uses and secret recipes. So I've played around a bit, putting in some random stuff, so let's rapid fire some unusual recipes I've found, and some of the things you can't recycle that I'd have expected you would have been able to. So the scrap mace it gives a large pile of books. Strange, but makes sense when you realise it's made from a random assortment of spikes and books. You can then place your books down as a nice decoration. The magic staffs give, well, nothing. You can't even put them in, which is sad as it would be nice to get the crystals back once the staff is no longer worth repairing, as those are really hard to find. Now I'll test a common thing I've heard people say. So you can get pebbles from cobblestone, so can we get sticks from logs? Now I can't even put the logs into it, so I'm gonna guess not. Now you can also put some other NPC weapon drops such as this halberd or these daggers to get back some ores renewably. Not a great use and a pretty slow farm for them, but interesting nonetheless. Now another one I've heard is about putting in leather. Can I turn it back into hide? Maybe heavy leather into medium hide? Well, that's a quick one. No you can't. Can't even put it into the machine. Now, an important thing to note before you go and put your broken pickaxe into the Salvager's workstation is that items can be repaired using repair kits. So it's definitely worth doing that first for high tier tools, as the iron for the repair kits is common in caves. There's at least 10 up there, so that's 10 whole repairs of a tool. Oh, and also easily farmable. I have a farm design that I'll show in a future video, and it's pretty cool if I say so myself. But now it's time for some myth busting on how the workstation works, so let's go to a creative world. I have in my hotbar 9 identical pickaxes. Let's put them all in and compare the outputs for each one. Interesting. The same each time, so it's not random, but in fact predetermined. I tried this with other tiers and other tools and it was also consistent. It was always the same. So I won't waste your time by going through every tool and armour in the game, but generally you get between 20 and 30% of the original materials back. This is normally rounded down, which means that for some tools that only use 3 leather, you don't get back any hide, as we saw with the adamantite pickaxes. We'll see that with this adamantite chestplate, that it costs 28 ingot, 8 leather and 7 fabric, and it gives back 6 ore, 2 hide and 2 fabric, which is 21%, 25% and 29% respectively. When we do the same with cobalt gloves, we see similar, with 25% of the ore back, 33% of the leather back and 33% of the fabric back, so slightly better there. Now I wonder if the remaining durability changes how much you get back when salvaging. So now let's put in a pickaxe of the same type, but completely broken. Ah, okay, the same again. The same number of resources regardless of how broken it is. Okay, interesting, that's worth knowing. No need to use a repair kit first, not sure why you would do that to just go and salvage it. But hey, worth checking. I mean, in my head you'd be able to salvage more from something that wasn't broken, especially in real life. But this does make more sense from a gameplay perspective. Now we saw that cobblestone gives us rubble, but what about different types of stone? And are there other blocks that give anything? So I filled up my inventory with different blocks. Now when we hover over the input box, the game will grey out any blocks that can't go in. I wish I'd known that soon, it would have saved me a lot of time when I was trying to just chuck random stuff in. Okay, so it looks like only the stone types can go in. But do they give different rubble types? Yes they do, that's nice. But not quite as useful as you can't create generators for these stone types to get them automatically and renewably. You know, I think it would be cool if in Hytale, cobblestone generators would create different rock types depending on the zone you're in. I'd love to have a slate or basalt generator in zone 3 as they're a lovely colour. Now I wasn't able to put any of the dirts or gravels, not sure what they'd give anyway, but importantly I couldn't do the logs or any of the wood types, which, you know, again busts the common myth that you can turn them into logs, but we did that earlier. Now, hopefully you're more familiar with the workstation than before. I certainly am after all of this experimentation. I think I've covered almost everything, but let me know in the comments below if there's anything I've missed, or if there's any more myths that need busting. Now this is a new channel focusing purely on Hytale game mechanics, and I plan to design some technical farms with a fully AFK iron farm in the works. If this is the sort of content that you'd be interested in seeing, then please do subscribe as it'll help this new channel out immensely. Thanks for watching, I'll see you next time. Goodbye.